What's up, guys? Back with another Modified Rides podcast. Today, I have one of the mini truck OGs slash show promoters. Today, I have Todd Hendrex, but most of y'all may know him as Radar. What's up, Radar?
How's it going?
So, I guess we'll start by how did the Radar name come about?
So I had I was putting my space cab in Houston Autorama, and that was the first show I ever showed in my life was the Houston Autorama. So you had to have the elaborate carpets, stanchions, and all that stuff. So I was having a signboard made that had my name and the modifications of the truck that you set by the truck. So Pat Maxwell was doing all that for me, and he called me up, said, "Hey man, your sign's ready." Cool. So get in the truck, drive over there, and I was in Trendsetter Minis back then, 18, 19 years old, and that was the club in Houston to be in,
Yeah.
So another one of our members had opened the door, and his nickname was Opie. And he opened the door, and he's like, "Hey, Maxwell, Radar's here." And I'm like, "What the hell's that?" Didn't even know what it meant. So I hear Pat laughing in the back, and I was like, "What the hell's so funny? What the hell's Radar?" And he says, "You look like the guy on MASH. You look like Radar O'Reilly." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." So it had just stuck. So I'm 51 years old. I've had that since I was 18, 19 years old, and it has not gone away. So
Well, anybody younger than us won't even know what the MASH reference was. So.
not a clue. What the hell's MASH?
That's how we knew it back in the day. It was time for us to go to bed.
Yep, you hear that music. It's like, all right, it's 11 o'clock.
Yep, time to go to bed.
Yep. And after that, I got to where I think actually, no shit, I think I went the next night and I watched it. And I got so hooked on that show. I have seen every episode of that damn thing I've probably seen each episode 5 times. So I ended up watching it because of it. And it's a pretty good show.
So who is Radar? Where are you from? Tell the people that don't know. I mean, if you're in this truck world and don't know who Radar is, you're under a rock or 18 years old. So who is Radar?
Man, I grew up in Houston, Texas area, Spring, Texas, which is a suburb north of Houston. Lived here pretty much my whole life. My dad got transferred to Montgomery, Alabama for a bit after I was born, and then we went to Dallas for a bit. And I want to say I was 3 or 4 when we came back, and it's been here ever since. I grew a family business with my dad. We rent refrigerated trailers, 18-wheelers and containers and that stuff, and we do refrigeration on food service warehouses. Done that for 30 plus years. Dad's retired for the most part. My son's coming on board, and just been doing that my whole life. Keeps me busy.
So how did you get into custom vehicles out of the refrigeration world?
Man, I've got pictures of me being as a kid on the floor with toys, just cars, anything with wheels. I was obsessed with. Anything mechanical. I liked when things worked. Like it was a tractor. I wanted to see how it all worked. And my sister, I don't remember how old I was. I have to go back and see what year that damn magazine was, but she got me a hot rod magazine. And at school, all the books I would check out were automotive related. But she got me a hot rod magazine, and ever since then, I was like, "Oh!" And it was Kenny Bernstein on the cover, and I found it on eBay, and I think I bought one. I think I've got it in my closet. But it was when I think he went 280 or 250, something like that. I have to go look at the cover again,
which is slow in today's terms.
It's 100 miles an hour slower than what the hell they're doing now. But at the time when you hear 250, you're just like, "What the?" So I love drag racing today. I watch it in different forms, but that magazine, she got me a little subscription to it. Man, I couldn't wait till it came in. And then I had some buddies that I went to high school with. We were all skateboarders, and we all got into the Volkswagen stuff, the hot VWs, VW trends. And I remember my mom worked at the grocery store at the end of our neighborhood. And hell, it was 2 miles away, and I'd ride my bike or my skateboard up there, and I'd go to the magazine rack. So I'd meet up there for lunch. And so I go through the magazine rack, and then I saw a mini truck, and I was like, and I would see the mini trucks at the shows my parents take me to, like little Saturday night hangouts over by the house.
So they used to go to shows too?
No, they were just supportive of what I was doing,
Okay.
My interest as a young guy. And my dad was a car guy, but he worked 24/7, so he didn't really have the time or the money to throw into it. But I remember, I don't remember which issue. Again, I'd have to go back and look. My memory's terrible, but it had the blue Toyota on the cover. His old mini truck, and thumbed through it and told mom, I was like, "Can you buy this for me?" She's like, "Yeah." So I rode that thing. I carried that thing all the way home on my bike and wore the pages out. And of course, there's certain ones in there you like, so you cut them out and hang them on the wall, not
Yeah.
knowing. So then I scramble as a 40 something trying to find all the issues that I cut up. But so yeah, just I guess I was born with it, the car gene, a mechanical, and like to take shit apart and see how it works.
Yeah. Well, what was your first vehicle?
71 Volkswagen Super Beetle. I still got it over there. Uh, so like I said, I started out with a Volkswagen guy, drove it to high school, and I was taking a buddy home one day, and I was the second car at the intersection in the turn lane, and I hear tires screeching behind me, and
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang. Well, I got caught up in that chain reaction that squished the car. Um, and so my dad's like, "Well, shit, you need a car." So we ended up buying a bug from a buddy for like $1,000. I drove it for another year or so, and then he ended up buying me my Isuzu. 'Cause he saw it was, he's like, "You're burning up." He's, "Let's find you something with some air conditioning,"
Especially in Houston.
especially in Houston. So he bought me that space cab, and I ended up buying that thing back. Yeah, I sold it in '03, and then I bought it back in 18. So that's another project I need to work on.
So, how do you still have the bug you had in high school? Did you just keep it after the wreck, or what?
Yeah, so it went to the body shop, and it sat, body shop, sorry, it sat in a body shop forever because it wasn't a collision deal or an insurance deal. It just kind of, they worked on it in between from what I remember.
Yeah.
And that car sat, and I drove the other one for a year and a half or so. And then when I got that mini truck, it was like, I'm done. I'm putting wheels and tires, ground effects, graphics, and we got the car back, and it just ended up sitting in my parents' garage. So that car is painted, new body panels. I shaved the door handles. Typical.
Yeah.
You're 18 years old, don't know your ass from real. Well, now I'm 51. I'm saying, man, can I put door handles back in this thing without, getting locked out? But so yeah, I ended up holding on to it because it was my first car, and I know the hours my dad worked to buy that thing, and that car was like, from what I remember, it was like $3,200. It had new paint, new interior, new motor, and it was a sentimental thing. It would be hard to let go of.
I know most people don't keep the first vehicle. I mean, I traded mine in, and in high school on a second vehicle. So it's just you don't see many people that hang on to that for that long.
Yeah, and I knew what my dad went through, working all the time, growing a business. And that was before I started working for him. But as I got older, I was doing the bust ass work. I was like, shit, looking at that car now, I know, you know, it means more to me now because of
Yeah.
what he endured. Um, but and then when I sold my Isuzu, that was kind of hard to let go. Because I mean, I had my hands on every inch of it when I redid all of it. But again, it was a thing where my dad and we rebuilt the engine in the garage. So for me to be able to buy that back is cool. It's a piece of me, piece of history. So for me, at least, and now
Well,
whether my kid takes an interest in all of it, that's a whole other story.
like, I guess let's start back to when you got it. Like, did you know when you got the Suzu that you wanted to immediately modify it?
Oh, absolutely. So because I was on both of my little Volkswagens I was driving, they were lowered, hammered to the fucking ground and rode like shit. But at 16, 17, 18, you don't care. You just wanted it to look cool.
Probably had the spare tires on the
I had
front.
spares on the front and had the alignment done right, so you could drive on those tires if it was the alignment was good for 6 months, and
Yeah.
then they would just naturally wear out. Car was light enough where they would last. Um, but again, I was going up to the Trendsetter mini meetings. I was over by the mall, 20, 30 minutes from the house. And man, I was just like, God, I wish I could afford one. Blah blah. You know, my parents like, look, don't work, go to school, get your grades, and get the hell out. So, um, I guess at that point in time in '92, my dad had grown to his part of the business enough where he was like, hey, let me buy you something and get you out of the heat so we can get you through high school. And so, of course, it was wheels and tires. You know, paid a buddy to lower it because I didn't know how all the torsion bars. I know Volkswagen shit at the time.
Yeah.
I'd worked so much on those things, and yeah, I had every intention of wanting to do as much as I could do it because I was around all of those trucks that had shells and ground effects and graphics and interiors and all that stuff. So of course
Big
it went back.
stereos back then.
Yeah, huge stereos then. Yeah. So yeah, I had every intentions of modifying the thing.
So how long did you keep it like that before you said, all right, time to redo it?
So it was, see, I got it, I want to say summer of like 92 because it was a 92.
Or was it a new one?
Yeah, it was a new one. Was there 92 or 93? My memory. I think it was, yeah, it was 92. It was 92, it was my senior year. Um, so I had ground effects on it, had air shocks on the back, and Pat did some little brush graph. They call it brush graphics on it. And whenever Ballistic was on the cover, that's when I was like, and everybody was airbagging. They're starting to airbag or put air shocks on everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it. I'm going to figure out how to pull these damn ground effects off and get this thing on the ground. So it took a few years. So I had pulled the ground effects off and had all the paint fixed, and I put a roll pan on the back and got some Budniks where they would tuck. So the truck was just still static lowered. So we went to Heatwave in '93, and I saw Todd Katner's Mazda, which is the Mazda that Craig Rowley has now.
Okay, the red one.
The red one that had
Yeah.
the shell on it and then the Elite Chrome Elite wheels on it, and it was laying the rockers. I was like, "Holy shit, who did that?" So that's when I met Rob Rodell, and he's like, "Yeah, we finished it up, a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was." I was like, "I need to talk to you." So that's how me and Rob, became buddies, and uh, I want to say that was Heat Wave in '93, and then New Year's, a couple days after New Year's. No, it's so crazy when you start thinking about all the time frame of everything. Yeah, that's
I'm,
right.
I'm on those ones. I can't remember it unless there's a vehicle involved. If there's a vehicle involved,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, that was this year, that was this
right,
month, or
right. So I want to say, yeah, that sounds right because it was like New Year's Day. They were coming back from Rezo, and we met at his parents' house, dropped it off, and that's where Rob bagged and body dropped the truck there in Round Rock up in
what
Austin.
color was it then?
It was still black with the graphics. We had done some body work on it. I had shaved the tailgate and put a license plate in it, and we had shaved the mirrors, so it had some primer spots on it, but I was kind of in that
Yeah.
process of wanting to redo it. And then drove it for a little while. Me and buddy Todd in the club, another Todd, we went to Endless Summer. We drove out to Parker, and he has a body drop Toyota. So we were driving back across West Texas, and I think we had woke up that morning in El Paso, and we were trying to get back home. And there's a Sousa oil pans hanging just a little bit below the cross member in the front.
Yeah.
And I wasn't driving it real low. It was just we were hauling ass, and there were some dips in the road, and when it hits the ground, you can feel like the shifter come up. So it's hitting the oil pan and pushing everything up. I was like, oh shit. And I like looked in the rearview mirror and watched the dummy light, and I kept rolling. So drove in probably 11 o'clock midnight that night, parked the truck in my parents' driveway, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and that was a Monday. As I was going to a buddy shop, and I started the truck up, and the driving down the street, the engine locked up on me. So I guess with the cold oil, it couldn't make it through between
Yeah.
the pickup tube, and I was like, oh shit. So then the motor comes out, and you start painting chrome and everything, and that's how that truck just like snowballed from that point.
The famous while it's out, we might as well.
Yeah, might as well the whole thing. Yeah, the chrome, the paint, and all that shit. So
So now you said that you had Pat Maxwell do some stuff on it early on. How did you become friends with him back then?
man, just the Trendsetter Mini stuff. He was the president of Trendsetter,
Okay.
and see, he had been or was a fixture here forever, still is. But I remember as a kid, my mom's like, "Hey, I need to run an errand," blah blah blah, and I knew where she was going. I was like, "Hey, can we go down this one road so I could see those trucks back there?" So she would change her route to take me by his shop. Um,
So he was doing that kind of stuff back then.
yeah, they had it was called Maxwell's Customs or something like that. But you could bring them. A matter of fact, a good friend of mine, he took his Nissan over there. They lowered it, put ground effects on it, sold him a shell, and drove out with a cool truck. So they were doing that kind of stuff. The height of mini truck stuff in the '90s was insane.
Oh yeah.
So they were pumping all that stuff out back in the day. But just got to be friends with him through the years. We'd see each other at the same stuff over and over, and became friends. And he uh, he backed out of the club when he had his daughter, and it just kind of fizzled out. I guess a lot of people like, well, Pat's not here. It's not worth doing, which was strange, but it fizzled out, and we all started looking for different clubs, and that's kind of funny story about that. But so going through mini trucking, you always see club names.
Yeah.
And I thought Negative Camber was like the coolest name. I was like, hey, that makes sense, Negative Camber, right? So picked up the mini trucking diary, and they, or not the diary, but mini trucking, and they would do the club directory in it.
Yeah. In the back.
In the back. So I remember I was at work one day, and I brought it in and thumbing through, and I'm like, okay, Negative Camber, California. I knew enough that that's where it started. So he called the number, and they would answer the phone, Chop Shop, and the name was Wyatt Strange. That was the
Yeah.
concept. So like in that a-hole, hey, is Wyatt in? Like, and I could see the guy like, having the phone going, is Wyatt in today? And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this dude? And like, he's not here today. I'm like, okay, I'll try back later. And I tried back like half a dozen times. And you hear grinders in the background. Like, it was the chop shop. It was
Yeah.
Gendro's place. So I was like, man, I'm reaching a dead end with this shit. So I ended up calling Kane Morris with Hack Shack.
Yep. I remember Kane.
Yep. And so he's like, yeah, man, y'all come out to Parker and blah, blah, blah. So that was in '95. That was before my stuff was bagged. It had the ground effects off of it, and repainted the stuff, painted it backwards all black.
Whatever happened to the Hack Shack? Kane just kind of disappeared, didn't he?
Oh, Kane passed a few years ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. And I think he had closed all that the business up several years before. But yeah, he passed, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, something like
I know
that.
he sent me the air ride for my CRX back in
Yeah.
'99, back before the air cylinders. It was the little bags with the
Yeah,
shot on the side.
yep, he was doing a lot of those kits, I know. But he said, yeah, y'all come on out. And we ended up driving to Phoenix, and the next day we drove to Parker. And you get on that park, and we've been to Texas heat waves, and all the shows around Texas and Louisiana, and you get out there where everybody's camping, and you're talking a 21-year-old kid, and you're just like, holy fuck, this is a whole other thing with everybody camping. And
Now, how far of a drive was that for you?
it's about 1,200 miles one way. But man, you're talking about 20 hours of partying. Like, people would sleep for 4 hours, and you'd finally fall asleep in your tent, and it's freezing cold in the desert. And then somebody starts a jet boat up on the river, and you're like, holy shit. You wake up, and then you're trying to wake up, and then the sun starts beating in the tent, and it turns into a greenhouse.
Yeah.
It just starts getting hot, like shit. So you get these crazy swings of the weather temperature out there. But that's where we met everybody. And so Derek out there, Big D and Camber, he kind of showed us around and introduced us to people that next morning. And it's like, oh, this is so-and-so. This is Brian Gendro. I'm like, holy shit, this is Chop Shop guy. So we go around, and there's a crowd of people, and they're all eating breakfast, waking up. And He's like, hey, this is Courtney. This is the guy that started everything. Him and Brian and went through all that. Hey, nice to meet you. Y'all drove from Houston? Yeah, y'all are crazy, blah, blah, blah. So we started to walk around just other camps looking at everybody else's stuff. And he's like, y'all know who Courtney is? I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, well, he's the editor of Mini Trucking. And that light bulb went on. I was like, holy shit. It's like, what the frick did we step into? So we walk around different parks. That park was huge. We walk around different camps kind of for about 30 minutes. And he's like, a lot of people don't know this, but Courtney's also, he's the one that writes the Wyatt Strange in the Mini Trucking Diary. Mother effer. He's like, yeah, so it's not a real guy. So once Derek
And you
walks
called
off,
and asked for him a dozen times.
yeah, so I'm telling my buddy Todd, I'm like, well, I'm the biggest friggin' jerk off. But, and it was kind of funny when you think about it. Like, Courtney didn't put himself on the Mini Trucking directory because of, I'm assuming, because he's the Mini Trucking magazine guy. I don't know. Maybe protecting himself or the club. But we went back to the camp. We were dying laughing. I was like, well, I was calling a fictitious guy. No wonder they were fucking with me on the phone. Like, oh, he's not here right now. Has anybody seen Wyatt? Like, dude, I'm not calling y'all anymore. So, kind of a funny story there.
So that's when you got into Canberra?
Yeah, it was in. So we went down there and kind of petitioned a little bit. And Courtney's like, here's my number. Give me a call anytime. He's like, let us figure out how we want to do, because you're further away than anybody else. And I was like, man, I get it.
Now, what was the furthest chapter out from him at that point?
Man, if I had to guess, there was like, well, Schmidt was in New York.
Yeah.
But him and Schmidt had already had a friendship prior, so they knew each other. He didn't know me from anybody.
What year was this?
This is 95.
Okay.
So, and I'm guessing, I know there was California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. I know Schmidt was out there. And I know Jeff Davey came from South Dakota. Now, I don't know if he really got in until he moved to California, or if he had a chapter there for a minute before he moved. I don't know his history.
Well, like I know when Wes Frisbee got in, I think he went through Chris originally, Schmidt.
Probably, yeah, that because we had it where Courtney was West Coast, I was in the middle, and Schmidt was the East Coast guy.
Yeah.
So it took a couple of months. We went back and forth, and it was just three of us. It was me and a buddy, Todd White, and a guy, Mikey, which I don't know what the heck happened to Mikey. But we were all, I was like, hey, he's like, yeah, we decided we're going to let you guys in. This was like June. And I was like, cool. I said, I don't know how you want to handle stickers. I said, he's, man, I'll send you some. Well, he's a busy guy.
Yeah.
So I hated to bother him. I'm like, hey, and I wanted to go to Heatwave with the sticker, So we all congregated at my parents' house the Friday before Heatwave. Like, it was 30 years this past Heatwave that I got in. And he FedExed us the stickers. We had 3 stickers. We put them on the trucks and we rolled out the Heatwave. And that's the same year I met Rob saying, hey, what do you charge to body drop this stuff and bag it? So
your truck was still black back then?
Yeah, it was still black. And it was just, like I said, at 3-inch blocks and some leaf springs pulled and torsion bars. And I had a full interior in it and some brush graphics, but there was nothing shaved on it. It was just factory black paint with the stripes that Pat would put on it. So
you didn't have to have adjustable suspension or something back in the day?
Man, I'm sure at the time, I mean, that's our thing now. It's like you have to have some kind of adjustable, but
I guess it wasn't as easily accessible back then.
It wasn't, but he knew that I was talking to Rob and we were all hell bent on getting it done. As a matter of fact, when we left Parker, Todd left his white Toyota with Hack Shack and they bagged and body dropped that thing. So he hopped in with me and we drove back home. So he had been talking with him for months prior to us going up there. So it all worked out in that respect.
Well, when did you tear the truck back apart to redo? I guess once the engine blew?
Yeah, so once the engine took a dump, that was September of 96, I think. So I shoved it in the garage and started tearing it apart. It's like, well, let me get this thing rebuilt. So took it out, tore it apart, laid everything on the table. So there was a guy around the corner from our old shop. It was Conrad Racing Engines. He'd been around for 100 years. So I had a bunch of head work done. He balanced everything. I went way overboard on that little 4-cylinder. But while it was out, I sanded everything. Had a buddy come and paint the engine compartment, and I sent off brackets to powder coaters. And so when the block came back, my dad and I assembled it because we were building diesel engines at work and compressors and all that. So it wasn't out of our realm.
Yeah.
So we put it together. Um, and then I painted the block myself, which managed to do actually a decent job, and a bunch of other little parts, and threw it back in the truck. And it took me a probably a year and a half to do all that, because we ended up sanding the whole truck down and primered the whole truck orange, and I took it to heat wave in '98 like that. So, and then from then on, it was like, I got to paint this thing, get it done. And I want to say I took it to Greenville. I think that was '99.
That's the one show I wish I would have gone to over the years. I never could make it. And then now, of course, now it's
Mini
gone.
Nats is probably the closest to that, but Mini Nats is obviously a very good hangout vibe
Which
thing.
I've gone to Mini Nats since '94.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool.
But it's an hour. It was Pigeon Forge was an hour and a half.
Yeah,
from
you're right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff I never went to. I'd love to have gone to Pigeon Forge, and a lot of the guys so back to Maxwell, all those guys, they gotten relaxed. And so they were all hopping in stuff and going to Pigeon Forge every year, and it was hard for me to go because of work. I had to kind of pick which ones I was going to. So that was one I never made it. Never made it to it.
I think I've literally gone every one since '94. Oh, but back in the day, and people tell the stories of how it was cruising 3 wide, both sides like that.
Dude, it was we were young and everybody was loaded, and everybody just did dumb shit. It was rowdy.
Yeah.
Like as the night went on, it got rowdy, and at some point, like at midnight, like I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna err on the side of caution and get out of all this shit storm that's happening.
Yeah, I had friends from here that would go down to Greenville every year and stuff, but I just one I never made it to. That you just like Pigeon Forge, you hear the stories of Greenville, and you're like, oh man, that was one of the best shows ever.
It was fun. Yeah, the show was good. So we painted that truck on Mother's Day. Pat did the graphics on it. My buddy Shannon, he based and cleared it, and we just threw the windows back in it, the wheels on it, whatever we could do. And there was no interior, no air conditioner, and I drove it from Houston to Greenville and back.
But isn't that the whole reason your dad bought that truck, is so you'd have air conditioning?
Yeah, it sucks is I'm a refrigeration guy. But at the time when you're putting it together, you're like, this thing needs a condenser. I don't have the money for it right now because I've got $1 bazillion in chrome and powder coating. Let me just get this thing put together where I can drive it, and I'll do the AC later. And I don't think I ever did the AC on it because I
have AC on it now.
No, it doesn't. And it was when I go and pull the motors now has got a bunch of oil leaks on it, so I need to go through and fix all that. But now I think I'm just going to pull the air out of it, just clean up all the old crappy hoses. And they built the dash in the thing, and all those lines are loose. So I don't know what the hell they unbolted on the other side of the firewall, or that you can see it's like falling back in the firewall. I'm like, I'm not going through all that shit. I'm gonna pull it.
So you got the truck back together, got it to the show with no interior.
No interior.
How long till it was? Because it was a cover mini trucking, right?
Yeah, that was because Courtney shot it, I want to say in 2000, end of 99, 2000. And then Lance wanted to shoot it. And I was like, well, Courtney shot it. He's like, I don't care. I want to shoot it for the cover. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you no for that, So I want to say a year later, I think it came out on the cover. I think that's right.
Why did Lance reshoot it if Courtney already shot it?
I don't know.
Or was that during the time when he was going to street trucks?
Well, it was street trucks when Courtney did the article.
Okay.
Or when he did the feature on it. So the feature ended up in street trucks. And then once it came out, Lance is like, I want to on our cover. And I'm like, well, Courtney, obviously you see it's like, no, I want it on the cover. I was like, okay. absolutely. So we went back out to Parker for West Coast Nationals, and he shot it over by the casino over there. So I wasn't gonna disagree with him. So
Yeah, because Courtney had shot my CRX from any truck in '98. Because I
mhm.
remember it at '98 Mini Nats. I've told the story before where they were shooting a bunch of stuff. Like Wes's truck was getting shot. The Nissan that was on the subscription card for
Yep,
30
forever.
years.
Yep.
It was seen more on the subscription card than it was ever seen in real life. So
Yeah.
it was getting shot, and a couple other buddies, and Lance and Courtney walked over, and there was like, yeah, we're actually getting ready to do cars. We're kind of keeping that under wraps. Is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Are you going to Nopi? I was like, yeah. And I remember I was pulling out of Mini Nats after awards that Sunday, and Courtney runs out in the road and stops me. He's like, make sure you give me a call. He's like, because we need to get this lined up to shoot at Nopi.
That's cool.
And that was, the one year they ran one car every month.
You're right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually the plaque I have is before they started doing the wooden ones. And I actually sent a picture that I had of Courtney shooting
That's
the
cool.
car, and it's like in the middle of the plaque. So
That's cool.
yeah, so back, to have a Courtney shoot back in the day was, that's how you knew you made it.
Yeah, and we were all go to shows and we end up, hanging out. I've been on so many photo shoots with that guy. He's like, "You want to be in my camera bag, bitch?" I'm like, "Sure." So you sit there and carry the bag and
Wait,
hand him
that's a thing. I need to get
yeah,
one of
well,
those.
yeah. Well, but think about this. Now it's everything's in a hard drive. He was loading a camera with 35 millimeter film constantly.
Yeah.
He had a supply of film he had to take with him everywhere.
Yeah, I still got a camera case and tripod and lights and all that shit. So
Yeah. We had a lot of fun on those shoots, talking shit and having a good time. So
that's the best part about the shoots. You usually, I mean, you learn about the person you're shooting, you learn about the vehicle, but then you learn how you can talk shit to them,
yeah,
and push those limits. Because then the next time you see him, you're still talking shit to him. So
yeah, exactly. It was a good time with that dude, man. It was never a dull moment. That's for damn sure.
so after you had it shot, how long after till you sold it?
'03, I sold it uh, for some reason. You know what? I remember on Street Source because I had put, on your little profile of the truck, I'd put sold like April 3rd of 2003, and for some reason that sticks in my head. Um, so sold it to a guy in Utah, and him and a buddy flew in. They drove it back, and with all it's the truck, I had all that head work done and the porting and the bouncing and all. I told him, I said, take it easy. I said the little thing will get away from me. Like next thing you know, you're doing 90.
Yeah.
So light to light, it wasn't that great. It was a fuel injected truck, and there was no really tuning anything on a truck like that back in 2000. But he had called me when he got home. He's like, "Dude, you're not lying." He's like, you get on the highway, and next thing you look down, you're doing 95 because it was just it ran so smooth. It was cool. But he had changed the wheels and tires and changed the interior, and the interior is horrible. It's all falling apart in that thing. Uh, but he had it for several years. Sold it to a guy in I think he's in Phoenix, and it was down there for a couple of years. And the guy that was, I guess the guy that owned a stereo shop, and he had somebody working on it for him. And that guy kept messaging me. He's like, "Hey man, the boss wants to sell this." I was like, "What does he want for it?" 15 grand. I was like, "No, I paid. The guy paid me $9,300 for it."
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'm paying almost twice for it. So thanks. So ended up sitting on it for a little bit longer. Well, what sucks is we were in the middle of building our house, and you're hemorrhaging money as you do when you build one.
Yep. Done
And
that.
then it pops up for sale, and he's hitting me up. He's like, "Hey, the guy wants like 8 grand." I'm like, "Shit." Let me think about it. So thought about it, and talked to my wife, and she's like, can we stomach paying for it? Blah, blah, blah. I said, well, let me ask him if he'll take 6,500. I say, I can dig into my savings and, maybe do that. So I said, look, this is because I still got to pay somebody to get it to me.
Yeah.
I said, so, and they took $6,500.
Wow.
So I was happy and kind of mad at I had buyer's remorse at the same time because fuck, I got to pay for cabinets next week, So, so I bought it and it sat in my old house driveway for a little while, and then when we got the house built here, I trailered it over and stuffed it in the corner over there. So,
Now, what made you originally want to sell it?
man, just you think of so I got so many cars. It's not funny, but I've got an '86 Toyota turbo truck, the factory turbo truck, extra cab that I've bagged and body dropped, and I was like, man, if I could take that money and roll it over to that thing,
Next project.
and then life gets in the way. Had my kid and first marriage and all that stuff, and ended up having to buy a car and doing adult shit. So, uh, and I still got that truck. Like I said, I got a few projects, but had to just kind of one of those things. I didn't want to take it to shows anymore because I kind of felt like it was like I've already done it.
Yeah.
That sounds
Old
horrible.
news at that point.
Yeah, it sounds horribly conceited saying that, but it's like it didn't interest me anymore. I mean, I still like the truck, but I was just busy with work and life and everything. So I was like, man, let me sell it, use the money, and 15 years later, it falls back in my lap. So
Now, how'd the guy in Utah find it?
probably Street Source.
Okay.
This for sale ads there because that's where everybody was selling everything.
Yep. Me and Chris talked about that when I had Chris Bloom on. That could have taken off if it wasn't for Facebook. That would probably be the biggest automotive platform out there still.
Yeah, 100%. That thing was crazy. It had so many damn people on it.
Yeah.
You go in the chat and spend hours.
First thing you do when you get home, log into that AOL and let it take 5 minutes to dial up. And
Yep.
so after you'd sold that, you had a few projects and everything. What made you decide that you needed to have it back? Because you said you felt like you were done with it, but evidently you weren't because you needed it back.
Yeah, and I think just the nostalgia part of it. Everybody's kind of into the old school stuff, and also wanting to kind of save it because the interior and the window tint and the wheels is like, holy shit. I know that the guy wanted to make it his own to a degree, buy it, kind of change it a little, kind of make it new. But I think what also ticked me off too is he got a tailgate featured it, and I've got the feature in my toolbox, and in there he's like, yeah, he bought it from the original owner and finished chroming everything. It was all I could do not to call that dude. But then the more I calmed down and thought about it, I was like, okay, well, did the editor, take liberties and said that? So, maybe he didn't say, so I just kind of let it go. But I don't know. I think being it was my first truck and it was still in pretty good shape, paint wise, body wise.
Yeah.
Just felt like I wanted it back. I could put it in the corner, make it a project at a later date for $6,500. All the bones are there.
How much work is it going to take to bring it back to life though?
Full interior. It needs a whole interior. They pulled the factory dash, painted it, and when you're in the truck and you close the door and you open that wing window that the Isuzus have, it hits the dash. They had built up so much material on it. And you can see the dash is like sinking in the middle. They didn't put the middle supports back. I want to say it's got 215s in the back with an amp rack. I mean, it literally legit moves like a foot. It's not even mounted real well. And it's all vinyl and it's just wrinkly and it's not a good job. I think there's 13 televisions and there's one in each door, 3 in the dash, behind the seats.
During the time that was all the rage though.
Yeah, but it was a stereo shop's like promotional vehicle, I guess. It was, hey, this is what we can do. And so the interior needs to be done. The paint's got a lot of burn marks in it where they had buffed it. Yeah. There's a lot of burn marks. They sheet metaled the bed, which I like, but they didn't match the paint. So up on the bed rail where the bulkhead and the bedside come up, there's a tape line, and it is 2 shades of orange. It's horrible. The motor's got to come out. It's got some oil leaks. The rear suspension's I got a cantilever, and that's you can see it stick over the bed. Like whoever did the back half and the cantilever did a nice job. I just don't want cantilever stuff in the
Yeah.
back, so I'm gonna cut all that off and redo that setup of it. Um,
Do you have any kind of time frame that you would love to have it done by?
no, and I'm hoping the beginning of next year I can start on it. I got a buddy that he's a painter, and I want to talk to him. I want him to come see it because I think the orange that's on it is Omaha orange. It's just kind of a flat orange, and I always regretted not doing Tangelo.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to do with it. Just kind of change it up a little bit in that
That
respect.
was the color back in that time era.
That color was cool, and I kicked myself in the ass for not doing that originally. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then it's set up for 20s, so I'm just going to put 20s back on it because it looks when it's laid out in the profile, it looks good with the big wheels. They're just big chrome, horrible looking. I don't think the truck will ever stop with them. They're so heavy wheels.
Now the technology, you can put big brakes on it.
Yeah, I've got another space cab I'm bagging right now that I've got all Toyota stuff on it. It's all the Willwood bolts on. So it may snowball into another friggin' project like that.
So the question is, though, are you going to have that truck redone first, or is Lonnie going to have his truck redone first?
Well, he's got his moving and driving now, so he can hop in it and go down the street, where I can just look at mine. So, but yeah, I would like to say I'd like to the first of next year. I may talk to him actually at the end of this year to try to get into his schedule for next year and take it to mini nats and 27, I guess. That's the plan, at least. I don't know how plans go.
So during that time, you created one of I'd say the coolest mini truck related DVDs. How did that come about, and when did you start that?
So in high school, I hated history. It was the memorizing of dates, I think, that ran me crazy, turned me off to it.
All the wars and all the stuff, yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Stuff you're never going to need to know again in your life.
I'm 52. I've never thought about Pearl Harbor. I mean, it happened, but it hasn't helped me.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I got older, I was always fascinated with some history stuff. I guess getting me out of the you have to memorize all this shit. But I started thinking about that in respect to like what we do. Outsiders probably think it's silly, but when you've dedicated, I say dedicated, when it's just been your interest your whole life, you start thinking about, man, how do we document the stuff that like Bob Hayes has done, Brian Gendro's done, and the pivotal shit that those guys have helped do. I think it'd be a really cool idea to go and interview these guys and get it on film because not everybody's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
So, and thankfully, we got to talk to Steve Stillwell. We interviewed him in that, and, he's since passed. So I started thinking about it, and I started telling my wife about it. I was like, I just don't know. Like, I'm sitting here penciling the cost of this shit out, and I don't even know what it's going to cost to do the DVDs. I'm just looking at travel. I want to pay the guys that are helping me film because I don't have equipment. I don't have the editing knowledge.
That was my next question. How did you? I guess you found somebody to help you with it, since you just had the idea and they had the film knowledge.
Yeah. So Brandon Leith and Chris Brule, they did Crime Pays video.
Yeah.
All the Crime Pays stuff, and I always liked what Chris did from an editing standpoint. It was just always well done. And I had a somewhat of a friendship with those guys. I'd see them at shows. Hey, how's it going? Cut up. We had mutual friends. So I had talked to him several times about this idea. And I said, I just don't know how to, I want to compensate you guys and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up driving to Austin. I want to say it was a Saturday or a Sunday. And we met at a coffee shop. And I was like, hey, this is what I think I can do. I said, I'm not looking to make a ton of dough out of this. As long as you guys are compensated and I can help pay for everything, that's, and honestly, I don't even know if, I think I've paid for everything at this point. So I want to say prior to me meeting them, I had talked to all these guys like Brian Gendro and uh, Bob Hayes, ended up Alan Paradise, trying to, hey, if I whittle out some time, can we talk to you? It'll be a few months from now or a year from now or whatever. And everybody was very accepting over it. So there's a lot of phone calls to try to make everybody's schedule fit because I'm sitting there going, okay, these are the days I want to come out. I want to go from like a Wednesday to a Sunday, something like that. And when we land, we need to do somebody that day to make
Yeah.
all this fit. So we ended up, it was Bob and Stillwell. We did, and then the next day, I want to say we did Al in Paradise, and we drove to Pat Nichols' house because that was an hour or so away. Like, we did a lot of driving in a short amount of time, and there was some like Ernie Macias because Chris and Brandon had a relationship with him, and Ernie at the time was like, oh, what if I say something? Or like, look, we're not here to bash people. We were trying to do this. This is our goal, and we're not going to portray you in a bad light.
Yeah. What year was this?
15, I think.
Okay.
14. I think it actually was 14. Because everything I want to say, yeah, it was 14 because I was going to all the events with it in 15, trying to sell it. But man, doing the interviews and like when Steve Stillwell and Bob were talking, I'm standing behind those guys, letting them do their thing, and I'm pacing, because I'm at that point I'm probably $3,000 on a trip between their flight, mine and my wife's flight, everybody's meal, hotel room, rental
Yeah.
car, and I've got all these hotel rooms laid out and a couple meals a day, and uh, got home and I was like, shit, that was awesome. Just obviously paid the bill out of my pocket and stressing all that. And my wife, thankfully, she's way smarter than me. She was, let me ask you a question. She's like, your orange truck or your blue Toyota? She's like, when you sold them, did you ever make a dime on them? I'm like, no, there you don't do this because you're going to make money.
Yep.
You do it because you love, trying to do something different than the next guy and then the friendships you have. And she's like, don't. She's, you need to treat this like a truck. You need to treat it like a project. If you can do this and document it all, and you lose $5,000, she's like, who, that's what you need to look at. So you know what, you're right. So that's kind of the attitude I took with it, and we flew out there twice because we interviewed a lot of the guys that were guys from like our era. Brian, Alan
Yeah.
Paradise, Stillwell and Bob go back to that further time, but Pat Nickel with Ballistic, Sean Mahaney. Um, God, I can't remember all of them, but once I got that kind of under my belt, and then I went back to Bob, I was like, hey, I need some older guys. Like, I need the 70s, 60s, however far back we
Yeah.
go. And he's like, yeah, call this guy, call this guy. Let me talk to him and get their information and blah, blah, blah. And a couple of those guys were real standoffish. Like, well, what are you going to do with this? I'm like, look, man, I just want to document your time. I want to document your time of your world of mini trucks.
Now, when you did this, the YouTube aspect wasn't as big as it is. It was
No,
more people were doing the DVD stuff.
it was, yeah, all the DVD stuff, and it was, and I want to say that was kind of almost a transition in time because, I mean, I want to say during all the COVID stuff, that was probably when YouTube probably got its
Yeah.
most subscribers going. But at the time, yes, there was YouTube, but it was never an inkling in my head to put that in because I didn't know how it worked. I was trying to recoup, the fuck. By the time it was all said and done, I had 20 grand in that thing.
Oh wow.
From the traveling to buying the website to having the stuff printed, paying Chris and Brandon, like, and they were those guys didn't even want money. They're like, we're not doing this for money. I was like, yeah, but y'all got time off of work, and if I'm making money on this thing, I never want it to be where, hey, screw him.
Yeah.
He's made all the money on the sweat of our ass. And hell, I think today I still owe Chris some money. To be honest with you, I go back and look at all that. But so now I look at it and I want to put it on there. Matter of fact, I had a guy Friday message me about, he's, hey man, do you know where I can find a DVD? I was like, yes, I still got boxes of them. I said, but I'll sell you one, but also understand in the next year I like to put it on YouTube, so it's going to be free. So if you can wait, then I would recommend that. He's like, man, I actually just want to have it in my collection for all my DVDs because I guess his went MIA on them.
Yeah.
So I got to mail him one Monday. Um, but and that's where I was talking about earlier about I would like to restore my orange truck and document all of it and put that on the channel as well. And then I've talked to different guys too about trying to do some interviews with them and kind of sprinkle that in. And I won't be able to do a show every week, but just something that I can upload for people to go and check out. And
It was like you mentioned documenting on the build of the truck. I'm like, during the Blazer, I'm like, I'm going to document all this. I'm going to do that. And we get like 3 or 4 hours in it. I'm like, crap, I'm
sure,
not taking a picture.
yeah.
I'm not set a camera up. I'm not like, you
Well,
just
it doesn't
in there
help that
working and forget.
you're traveling so far to do that thing too. That doesn't help. Your time's limited.
Well, I mean, luckily though, like I stay at Adam's house, the shop's in his backyard. So it's not like I'm having to travel once I'm there, literally walk out the back door, walk past his pool and go into the shop. So
Yeah, yeah. But I'd like to try to do that. Document that thing being redone, and then at some point put the film up. I think it'd be good. I really would love to have had. I did a section for Courtney that everybody we interviewed always had a story about him, and at that point, Courtney he'd passed for I don't know 2 or 3 years at that point.
I don't think you can say you are part of the mini truck scene if you don't have a Courtney story.
Oh no, yeah, it's that guy knew every person on planet Earth that had anything to do with automotive anything.
Yep.
It's crazy. But yeah, there's a little part in the DVD that we did for him, and I would love to just throw that on YouTube and hell, let it monetize to his mom for the Courtney college fund thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Those stories were awesome, and
You only released the one DVD?
yeah, just the one. Everybody's been asking for a part two, but I think I'm just gonna just do little sprinkles of it through YouTube, and that way I can do it.
And the technology to record with and all that stuff now is
Yeah, it's
so
on
much
your phone.
easier.
Yeah, you can almost use your phone nowadays.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and getting to meet people that I've always looked up to, and hearing some of the stories was awesome.
So when you were doing that, had you had garage gear clothing before then? Or did that kind of overlap?
I'm trying to remember when Lonnie and I bought that.
So you guys didn't start it. You bought it from somebody?
Yeah, so Micah Matthiasen in our club, he started it and just kind of lost interest in it. I guess life got in the
Yeah.
way, and we were sitting at my house one day talking about. It. I was like, "Man, it's a cool name. It's a cool brand." So I wonder if Micah would be interested in selling it. So we approached him about it, and he said, "Yep." So we went to. He actually moved up to Vegas at the time, and so when we went to SEMA one year, we went there and paid him, and he gave us everything for it, and we hit the ground running with it. And it is a money pit. We haven't taken a paycheck out of it yet.
Well, y'all do have a big fancy air conditioned trailer you take, and
Yeah, we got to keep Lonnie comfortable.
also it's his fault.
It's very important. He gets grumpy, but yeah, But I mean, just in the t-shirt business alone, I mean, hey, you go to shows, there's 27 t-shirt vendors up there.
Back in the day, it was like just drop 'em wear was the only one that was ever there.
KIK would be the other, and that was it. Now everybody's got one, so
Yeah.
it makes it tough. So if we can, Lonnie's wife Crystal, she spearheads that thing, and if we can, it's maintaining itself over the past few years, so that's good. We're not having to reach into our pockets anymore, so that's a good thing.
What do you see the growth with garage gear? You continue new shirts every year. Like, what's your plan with that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Crystal kind of heads that thing up, and she'll text us and go, "Hey, y'all need to figure out a new design." So we try to do a couple a year, but every time you do one, it's 3 or 4 thousand bucks just to put it in the inventory.
Yep. Artwork, shirts.
Artwork, print them. You got to do with brand. You got to do a certain amount to get the discount. So we try to hit that, and it's just it's not a good money making thing yet.
But you guys always do a wide variety of vehicles, though. It's not just all minis or all full
No,
size.
we want it to be, with a name like that, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our goal, to try to branch it out to different makes. You always get the old guy. Well, you don't have an El Camino up here that's yellow. It's like, well, we probably won't, sir. But uh, we're trying.
I guess that's the hard part because everybody wants their vehicle. I was lucky enough to have the Ram. Ron ran it on Hammered, so
Yeah,
it's like I still has like some of those shirts. I'm like, I really don't want to wear these because I don't want to wear them out. And 20 years down the road and just
and you don't
become
have one.
some shop rag.
Yeah, yeah,
I think I put one or two of them up when that come out.
yeah. That's good.
It's like
Hold on to
I've
it.
been trying to do some with like my stuff, and it's like you said, the price behind it to get the price, the price break, and the artwork, and it's like, do I really want to invest that much
Yeah,
just
and you have to
to?
put a room full of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just I have people like, hey, do you still have one of those shirts? Or I'll take them to shows. Like I don't set up like you guys do. It's just I just have them when someone wants one. I'll send it or a hat or whatever. But you guys travel pretty extensively.
Yeah, yeah. We're going next Friday to Gainesville, Texas for Classic Truck Nationals. So
Okay.
always trying to go out and put it in front of people.
Do you hit any of like the hot rod style shows, or you try to stay just towards the truck only shows?
Man, we did Good Guys one year, and we didn't do that great. It costs a little more money to be a vendor there. So we've tried to do stuff like that, but we haven't caught on. We do good at like the C10 stuff,
Okay.
C10 Nationals or C10s in the park, that kind of stuff. Everybody's got a C10, so that's the hot rod right now.
One of the reasons I decided to do my Blazer just because it's the
Parts. You
the
got parts.
SUV version of what everybody else has got,
Yeah.
and that allows me to do some of these C10 shows and good guy shows, stuff that you can't do with
Yep.
a mini or a modern vehicle or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go to whatever now.
Now, as a one of the OG mini truckers like that, how do you see this resurgence of mini trucks coming back?
I think it's cool. Um, it makes the price of them go up if you want,
Yeah.
but I think it's great. I mean, the I just feel like the automotive market's missing a deal with it too, because gas prices. I mean, who can afford to go out and buy a pickup truck right now?
Yep.
I mean, holy crap! What's a half-ton Chevy with leather and like a decent truck's probably what, 75, 80 grand?
Well, I know between buying my Ram in 19, which was I did the Laramie, it was like the middle of the road, trim level, to when
Right.
I did my Sierra. So it's from 19 to 23. It was a $20,000 price increase to go from a mid level Ram to a mid level GMC,
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
both 1500s. And it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I a year and a half ago I bought a new to me '06 Dodge Dually. It had 100,000 miles on it to work out of. It's pre-emissions, not having to fight with all that stuff. And I've had 3 or 4 of those trucks, so I know how to work on them. But I went to the dealer to get a part for one of our service trucks, and salesman come out. I'm like, I'm getting parts. I'm not looking for a new truck. So I sat there and I talked with him, and I said, "Hey, look, I tell you what, just out of curiosity, I said, I'm not buying, but I want a 1 ton 4-wheel drive. Don't want leather. I'd like to have navigation, electric locks, windows. Um, nothing,
AC
the AC, nothing, cloth seats because I get dirty." And it was $81,000.
for a work
That's
truck.
that's a regular cab. It's not loaded, but it wasn't window cranks.
Yeah.
I was like, no, no. My first house was 125,000. Like, and I know that that house is not 125 anymore. I understand all that, but it's just you drive off the lot and it loses 25% of its value right there. And I have such a hard time. Um, and then driving something that's got so much emissions on it, that's what keeps them in the shop and check
Yeah.
engine lights. And I don't want to go through all the delete crap. It's like, maybe just go find me a good low mileage dually and I'll be happy with it. So
Now is that's the same body style as your bag dually, isn't it?
yeah, it's the same. There's that third gen they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a couple years older than that one.
Now is your black dually, is that the one that I ran in Diesel Army? Is that
Yes.
your show vehicle now?
Yeah. That's that thing is a garage. What do you call it?
Ornament?
Garage ornament. Thank you. I bought it from Chris, the original guy. It had 12,000 miles on it, and I think it's about to roll 18. And I've had it 10 years now. So I drive it around little shows out here, get-togethers or whatever, and
Yeah.
uh, it's just so friggin' clean, man. I'm scared to leave it out anywhere.
Yeah. Well, what other than redoing the Suzu and stuff, what is in your immediate future?
Man, like I said, I got this space cab on the lift. I need to get done. Um, because I this was shit. I've had this truck 10 years, I bet.
So you bought it before you bought your other one back?
Yeah, so my Speedy in the club, he called me up. He's like, "Hey, you want a space cab?" I was like, "Yeah," because I've been looking at the time, not real hard. Craigslist at the time was where
Yeah.
you find stuff. He's like, "Man, I got a friend of the family that's selling theirs. They bought it new, and he's got a new truck, and he wants to sell it. He wants $1,500." I was like, "Shit, I'm down." And again, this was back in like shit 2000. Shit, maybe I've had it longer now, 11 or 12. And so he goes over there and he's like, "So you're good with me paying him the 15?" I was like, "Absolutely." I said, "I'll PayPal you the money tonight." So a couple hours later, he calls me. He's like, "Well, I'm driving it home." I said, "Cool." And he goes, "I got it for $1,000." I'm like, "Even better." So I bought it and it sat in my garage at home, and it's one of those where I start finding parts and put it in the bed. So, but I got a lot of projects that I need to figure out the time. So I mean, I've got this space cab, my old one. I have another one beside the shop that actually I bought it from Speedy too. I got to stop talking to Speedy. I think now that I think about it.
So
But
you've become the Tom Jenkins of space cabs, is what you're
well,
trying to.
I bought a 2004 runner from a buddy, and it's bagged. It's sitting over there. I bought a
Or that would be
90.
the Shannon Bullis of space cabs, because he's got
Yeah,
every Ranger
yeah,
known
it's
to
better,
man, I think.
Um, I got a 90 Toyota 4Runner on a two-wheel drive frame. Uh, that's got a Lexus V8 in it. So it's sitting in the shop. I have a bagged and bodied Toyota turbo truck, needs to go to a body shop. I have a lot of shit. I have a lot
Now,
of stuff.
don't you have like an office or something that you have windows that look into your shop?
Yeah, that's actually when we built our house. I wanted a game room. My dad, my dad was a gambler. Like every weekend, he would go to east of here to Lake Charles, Louisiana,
Yeah.
and he was loved blackjack, loved craps. Like he'd count cards. I'd go and meet him over there on a Saturday evening. It's 3 hours to drive. So I meet him over there, eat dinner, and we'd gamble. We'd play craps. I'm not much of a blackjack guy. I'll play it with him, but I can to sit there and watch him change his bet because he can count the cards through the deck. Like it could be a three deck shoe, and he knew what was left in it. And I don't have that mind. I don't have that mental
A
capability to
lot of
do
people
that.
don't.
No, and it was always fascinating. But it's like he studied how to beat the casino. My dad was, and it wasn't like obsessive. We're going to lose the house kind of shit. But he was. I'll never forget. We would be at work. We worked together. Okay, so we spent a lot of time together. He's like, "Yeah, I'm watching this guy now, and he knows how to roll the dice." I'm like, "How the frick can you control the dice? Like you're throwing them." He's like, "Well, there's a way you set them and throw them." So I thought he was full of shit. And the guy's name was Scobletti, which it stuck in my head. So I'm at home one day watching TV, and it was late, and I'm scrolling through trying to find something, and on the History Channel or A&E or one of them, and it said this guy's name. What the hell? So I started watching it, and it was a documentary on this guy getting kicked out of casinos for control rolling the dice. So I'm like, okay, so I recorded it and I ended up watching it, and I was like, the uh, next day at work, I was like, hey, I saw this guy you were talking about. I was like, see, I told you. So I would meet him over there and watch him control roll the dice. Like if you wanted a 12, he could try to roll. Like he did very well with it. I'd made some money off of my old man rolling. Long story short, in order to practice that, he went and bought a craps table, like a legit
Yeah.
full length, full width craps table from a guy west of here. Paid like $1,000 for this thing. So we loaded the thing up, and he got a storage by our shop to put in air conditioned storage. So we put it in there. We set it up. Well, he would, he grew the business enough where he could go and screw off a little bit. So he would go in there and he would practice rolling the frickin' dice. So I have that craps table. So I was like, I told my wife we were designing our house. I was like, I want a game room big enough to put that craps table in, have a bathroom, and then my mom we bought her a slot machine for Christmas years ago. So I have her old slot machine. I bought another one, but I want to line a wall with like 6 or 8 slot machines. So that game room is attached to that garage where I have 3 windows.
Yeah.
We had those 3 windows were actually supposed to be on the back wall of that game room, but I wanted to do something on that wall eventually, and those windows got moved to. And actually, Mark Zarate's house, he had those windows looking in from his house to the garage. I was like, I think I want to put those there, like Mark did. So that's how all that happened. It's
Well, I
just
know I've pointed out many times. It's like, I'd love to build a new house, and it's like one of my requirements is I'd love for my office to look into
yep,
the garage. I said, well, Radar's got these windows. I've seen it in videos. It's like I want to see my garage through my office.
yeah. That's just a game room. So it's not like we're looking at it from the living room with the wife, looking at my cars or anything.
Well, I do have a buddy that I do a bunch of photos for. He's got he turned a shop. It was an old cheer gym, turned it into an apartment, and then his shop. So you sit and watch TV, but you look off to your left, and there's windows like that look down into his garage. He's got
Cool.
stack lifts and
Yeah,
big
that's
signs on the
cool.
wall. And I was like, you and him's the only one I've seen that's done that. And I'm like, yeah, one day I'll be at that Radar level where I
Yeah.
can have windows into the shop.
But Mark Zarate, he had that done at his house they built over there. And I was like, man, if I wanted to do some Vegas artwork on that back wall, and I was like, man, I can take those windows and put them over there. So that's what we did.
Well, yeah, you've set goals for me. So one day, I mean, as you see, my office is full. I have no more wall space at all anywhere in the house without going in the living room. And I try to
Yeah.
keep peace with the wife to
Yeah, I know that.
not convert it to living room. Garage is full, office is full, but she don't want the living room cluttered. So
Yeah, yeah. That's the same as mine.
I'm gonna have to
It's,
start taking plaques down from some of my old features to put new stuff up. So,
yeah, yeah.
oh well. Well, how do people find you to keep up with all your projects and your companies and everything you do?
Garage gear clothing. Um, that's on Instagram, Facebook, Lone Star Throwdown.
Oh, we
That's
didn't even touch on that. So do this and we'll get into the show thing. I knew there's something I was missing.
yeah, the DVD stuff. I mean, I haven't done anything on Instagram. Uh, it's West Coast influence. Uh, and then my personal Instagram's Radar NC. Simple.
And you go
Made
by
it
your
easy.
government name on Facebook.
What's that?
You go by your government name on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
So
Todd Hendrix.
I knew there was something I was missing. So the one of the biggest shows in the country every year, uh, Lone Star Throwdown. I know I had Lonnie on. He kind of went over some of that on how that come about. But tell us how it came about to do a show that has now become a staple in everybody's show season.
Um, he and I had talked about doing it for years. Trying to do an event that we think that people would want to go to, and it's not like we set out to. We're going to have the biggest show kind of deal. That just happened. Um, but we wanted to do an event that was just a laid back, easy going. People can hang out with their friends, and so what kind of pushed it to a degree was we're coming up on our club's 20th anniversary, and Courtney's like, "Hey, here you go. Here's your perfect timing. If you could do it here, then we could have our 20th there." I was like, "Shit, okay." So then that kind of lit the fire for Lonnie and I, and started doing all the homework and get the LLC done, the partnership, and set out to find a facility that would fit us. And with Conroe where we're at the fairgrounds, we never dreamed we would grow into it, because I remember talking to vendors and sponsors like, "How much space do you want? We got it. We'll never fill this.
Yeah.
You want from here to there? Cool." And then by that fifth or sixth year, I bought property in Conroe, and I was coming up here trying to build the house, and I remember him calling me going, "Hey, can you measure this for me?" So I had the wheel in the truck, and I have measured every square inch of that part. I know Jared has come and has measured every square inch of that part. So I would take a Google image and print it and take it with me, and then just draw the line with an arrow and write the footage in it.
Yeah.
To stuff vendors in it. And those guys have done such a good job of putting vendors in and playing Tetris with them.
What was your first year?
Talking about of the
First
show?
year for LST, yeah.
2011.
Okay.
No, 2012. 12.
Because I remember 16, I was there, and that was the year that you realized that you had to put a cap on it.
Yeah, that's so. That's the year Gas Monkey built that 49, and when they brought that thing into the park, everybody just gridlocked on that road watching them film. Which that road goes back through drive-through judging, and then the entrance from registration. And there was people in registration so freaking mad at me. I was like, "Look, right now we're telling everybody to park." And I don't remember how many vehicles we had in there that year. It was way over what we've ever had in there. So I remember that afternoon, Lonnie and I had pulled up next to each other on golf carts, and we looked like hammered shit. And I was like, "We've got to cap this thing. Like, it's dangerous." Like that was the more of what we were worried about, because we had a big lifted truck driving through, and they had bumped a baby carriage with the wheel. They couldn't see him over the hood. And I was like, "Man, we can't have that shit." Which obviously he knew that and agreed. And so we're like, "Okay, let's cap it at this amount. We think we can manage that in here." And even there's a guy in our club that's a sheriff, Jonathan Roscoe, super good dude. He's a sheriff in this county. So he, at the time, had taken over, it's either that year or the year before, I don't remember, of all the security stuff and hiring the sheriffs in there. And we got 12, 13 sheriffs in that park.
Yeah, you got to that many people.
It's too, security and safety is a huge thing. And so he felt better, because it was a kind of a cluster F with all the people that were in there and vehicles. So I think now we've got a really good mixture of people and cars, and it flows somewhat, and it can still back up, but not as bad as it was that year. That was stressful. That was horrible.
That was my first year there, was that year in 16. And that was cool. It was like, I'd never made it that far to a show other than SEMA. That was the furthest I'd ever gone to a show. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like I said, we never. So we'll have people that do shows call us, and they're like, "Hey, how and what did y'all do?" Dude, I have no idea.
I think it's location, it's date.
I think it's time of year. Everybody's ready to get out. They've been through the holidays, New Year's, and they've been working on their shit, and they're ready to get back out and see people. That's the only thing that I can attribute it to.
Well, I know I had Scott from Rev B on a couple episodes ago, and I was talking about how this past year, how it was just miserably cold. And I was like, so that means this next year, if you follow the trends, this next year it's going to be warm.
This should be blue skies. Put an order in for it, so don't yell at me if it ends up being shit.
Well, the last time I was there was in 24. And, I remember that Thursday I got half the truck wiped off, got back to the other side and was like, the truck's brown again. You know,
Yeah.
you got the people that bitch, and I'm just like, hey, cool. My truck's gonna be dusty just like everybody else's. I don't care. You're here to
Right.
have fun.
It's an outdoor event. Like,
Yep.
if you don't want the truck out there in it, don't bring it. And
Yep.
it's shitty. I don't want to be that person, but it's, can't I can't cater to everybody. Me put a little tent around your truck, can't do it.
Yep.
It's just, you bring an outdoor event. It could rain. It could LST. It could rain. It could snow. It could be a dirt storm
In the same day.
in the same day. There's no telling what weather would do. Because we were just joking about it last night. We got together for Courtney's little birthday thing, and it was like, we could all have different apps open, weather apps, and all three, we laugh. All three or four of them are different.
Yep.
It's like, what do we do? Just average them and just go with that number? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then you got the people on Facebook. Well, it says it's 80% chance of rain. I was like, yes, it's 80% of 0.008. So you're going to get sprinkled on. Come have fun.
Yeah.
And
we've all been to shows in the rain. You just deal with it. You plan accordingly. You take an extra pair of shoes to have dry for dinner. Like, it is what it is.
Go see your friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's, go get inspired. Look at other people's truck. Oh man, I want to do that to mine. Like, you have to have that. I don't know. It's a different mindset. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but what's your reason for doing this? Are you here for the awards and all that stuff? I mean, I get it. Everybody puts a lot of hard work in their stuff, and they want to be recognized for it. But man, I love going to see the people. I got people I see at mini nats that I talk to throughout the year, and I can't wait to go hang out with them for that hour you get to hang out with them, because then they're going to go to the next person, and so are you.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. And, texting each other, hey, look what I'm working on right now. So I don't know. I guess everybody's different.
Well, it's like you mentioned the trophies. Like, I could care less about a trophy. We've all been that. I've thrown trophies away. Like, yep. Vehicles over the years. You're like, all right, that vehicle's gone. Let me go find a dumpster I can dump these 70 something trophies into, because I'm never going to,
little Saturday church car show trophies.
But I think two of my favorite that I have is, and what's bad is it wasn't even my vehicle. It was my wife's vehicle. Has two of your best does from LST.
Sweet.
And those are the heaviest trophies I've got. The big Orig looking. She won best female and best car or something. With it. So, and they proudly sit in the garage on the stands. I'll have somebody come over and be like, "Hey, let me show you this trophy." And I pick it up, I hand it to them. They're like, "Holy crap, that thing weighs 100 pounds."
Yeah, that's cool.
But I mean, other than that, like, I used to be one of those ones back as a kid. You're 18, 19 years old. You're like, I got to beat this guy because I've got, these 3 new bolts that he don't have, kind of thing.
You validate all your hard work.
Yep. Now it's like, I'm more worried about, okay, what company wants me to park with them so I can just chill with them for the weekend.
Right.
Like, I'm not even worried about it.
Right. Or can I make it home?
Yep.
Yeah. Priorities change to get older, but
yeah, bringing home a couple best ofs, even though it was her car, it was still like, I built it. So, I designed it, figured out what was what. So even to bring those home, I'm like, that's cool to have.
Cool that she's involved with it to that point too.
Well, her senior project was putting a body kit on her Civic. Like, that was her senior project. I remember
that in one of y'all's, you think you did the podcast with her.
Yeah.
I think y'all talked about that.
Yeah.
But like my wife, she, I met her outside of it, which is good.
Well, I met her outside of it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, outside, yeah, but she was into cars though, right?
But I didn't know her. I didn't know, like, she knew some people I knew. I knew some people she knew. Like, that was about it.
Okay, well, that's good. But she obviously got drug into it. She does all of our registration. Like, she prints it all, alphabetizes it all, in constant email with hundreds of people over registration stuff. And man, she takes all that heat off of me, and I can't. If she's more organized than I am, there's no goddamn way. I'd still be doing 2019's registration right now. So she's organized with that stuff, and she's good with it. And she has a friend of hers that comes and helps, and then she takes a bunch of stuff home and alphabetizes and gets it ready. It's awesome, all the help that she's given.
Now, who runs the Garage Gear booth that y'all show?
Well, Crystal does. She
She
She,
still runs
like I
that.
said, she spearheads that thing when it's me and Lonnie there. We just kind of sit there like a couple lummoxes until until it gets busy. Then we stand up and go, okay, what size are you? Oh, I need this. Well, one at a time because I'm gonna forget that shit. So, and then when my wife goes, when she has time to go, they both do it, and they just
And y'all socialize.
and we socialize. I mean, we try to take up slack if need. I gotta go to the restroom. Like, don't be gone long. I don't know how to work this credit card. So,
And you also have another show as well.
well, we were doing classic truck, and I think after this year we decided we're just going to pack it in because as much as it costs for that park, as much as it costs to put it on, we weren't getting the spectators through the door. And
Was
then,
that a weather related thing, you think?
yeah, it's hot as shit. You know, it was the dates they had were in June and July.
Yeah.
You're talking like right now. I mean, it's just for the hell of it. It's 81 with it feels like a 94 at 9:43 in the morning. But can you imagine
And
on
200% humidity down there.
yeah, the humidity is atrocious. But it just you got it's summertime. People are traveling
Yeah.
because here in Houston, I got a 40-minute drive every morning to go to work, and that can I say 40 minute. When school's out, it's a 40-minute drive. When school's in, the traffic completely changes. It turns into an hour and five. Um, so I just think a lot of people stay home. They stay out of the heat. Um, and they just don't go to outdoor events as much. We've had a lot of support from like the hardcore truck guys
Yeah.
bringing their vehicles, but trying to get spectators to come walk around, and that's what helped pays the bills. It just unfortunately wasn't there.
Now I know you guys had a public event or a public outreach to people after the LST, the last year or whatever with the chaos in the parking lots and stuff. Did you guys get all of that 100% handled?
Yeah, so we ended up meeting with the emergency management guy, and he was, at first it was like the commissioner doesn't want it. Well, we're like, it's the Lonnie and I. We're almost in tears over it, and we're just like, hey, if we could meet with these guys and let them know that we're not promoting that side of it.
Yeah.
You do a burnout in our park, you're gone because you lose control of that and you run through a crowd of people or hit something. That's a nightmare. So, and we've always been zero tolerance on that stuff from day one.
You have to be.
You have to be, safety of people. So once we got to sit down and talk with the guy, he's like, "Oh no, we're fine." So we're like, "Thank freaking God," But we want y'all to do these things. Sure, no problem. So, of course, we had a ton of people write letters on our behalf of, "Hey, this is not what these guys are about. They're trying to promote, having a good time, showing your vehicle. A lot of these trucks have hundreds of thousands of dollars thrown in them, and those aren't the guys going out to the old Kroger grocery store and
Yep.
doing burnouts." So it was a very uneasy time when all that shit was going down.
I'm sure in your mind you're thinking Greenville again, Greenville 2.0.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be another event that gets pissed away because people can't act right. Their parents didn't whoop them enough. They're out in that parking lot uprooting trees, stop signs. They're driving. They stole the handicap cart, battery powered handicap cart. You're just like, dude, what the hell are y'all doing? And then you look in the videos, and none of those. I say none. Very small amount had registration stickers on them.
Yeah, or wristbands.
Or wristbands. So a lot of the people didn't have it, and so come to find out, a lot of these numb nuts were had a bird just fly through the shop. They were leaving Oklahoma and Dallas just to come down to do that. Had nothing to do with the show.
Yeah.
So we're presenting all that information to them, and they're like, "Okay, cool. We believe you guys." And plus, again, with our buddy Jonathan Roscoe being a sheriff that can vouch for us, she's like, "Hey, y'all need to go talk to these guys. They're not promoting that shit. That's the last thing they're going to promote."
When did you guys find out about it? Like while it was happening?
We knew some. Well, the year before, there was an outlet mall that the next exit up, and that guy was messaging Lonnie, blowing the phone. He was like, "Hey, you got to get all your people out of here." He's like, "My people?" He's like, "What are you talking about? They're doing burnouts and they're tearing up the parking lot." And he's like, call the sheriff. I have nothing to do with that. I can't just call each individual guy. Who the hell's over there?
Yeah.
So we knew that happened that year, and that guy was kind of shitty towards us, which I get it. But once we tried to tell him, hey, this isn't us, right? We don't promote that shit. So then the next year, all of it happened, and we kind of knew stuff was happening because of social media. Didn't know to what extent until Sunday, or Sunday evening after the show. And there's word of the commissioner's pissed, and they don't want the show back, and we're shit, trying to process everything at that point. But thankfully, like I said, they sat down with us. They understood where we were coming from. We did the things they needed us to do. And we told them, I was like, y'all set up a paddy wagon, hang it in their ass. I don't
Yep.
care what they're doing. If it's illegal, write them up. Now, the thing that scared us too, I was like, I'm worried about the guy with, let's say, an OBS, no front plate, dark window tint. He could be driving back from eating dinner to his hotel and they pop him. I was like, there's a fine line there to where you're like a Dell Diamond in 2000 when they were writing tickets for everything for Heat Wave that year.
Yeah.
And you can completely destroy an event doing that because people won't come and participate in it.
Or like the car event in Ocean City, Maryland. They wind up if you had anything modified. That's one of those stance shows. So these guys would show up with a crazy camber and all that, and if it was modified, they were immediately impounding them.
It's stupid.
Yep.
And I get there's safety aspects and all that, but it's the amount of money that comes into Conroe has to be good for them.
I can imagine what you guys bring in.
That's why that facility exists. It's not just it's a fairgrounds for the rodeo. They're going to do other events to bring people outside the county to come spend money. So at the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way they're going to give up this revenue. But still, at the same time, this county don't jack around with anything. Like they will hang it in your ass quick if you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So, and then roping us into being part of those idiots is what was scary.
Well, I know the community completely stood behind you guys. I don't think I've ever seen as much outpouring of love for an event as I did when that happened to you guys.
Yeah, thank God, because
companies, I know I was at Street Truck, so like the magazine was involved,
yep,
advertisers, everything.
When you start getting letters from manufacturers on letterheads and even small vendors, even just the small ones. I mean, it means the world to you that they give. Plus, I mean, they give a shit. They're there to make money. That's part of their yearly income. Like they need that. If these younger kids don't act right, then a lot of these counties and shit they don't want them. They don't want the disruption. So they'd rather just get rid of the problem than have to deal with it.
I know you talk about cops pulling people over and stuff. One of my favorite law enforcement interaction stories was at LST. We were down there in, gosh, that was probably 18 maybe. One of the times we brought the Subaru down, we brought my buddy's Tundra down. We left the Subaru at the show, dropped the trailer, and we were all riding back in his Tundra. We topped this hill, and my buddy's driving his truck. You see him look in his mirror, and he's like, shit. I'm like, what? He goes, that trooper just turned around. So he rolls his windows down, windshield's tinted, 5% all the way around. He rolls his window down. There's 5 of us in the truck. Cop walks up. He's like, what's going on, buzz? And the license registration. He goes, officer, just let you know. He said, there's several concealed carry weapons permits in the vehicle, and there's multiple weapons in the vehicle. The troopers, he was a trooper. The trooper's answer was, you're in Texas. I really don't care. I just need your driver's license. And I was like, holy shit, that was badass.
Yeah, it's normal life here.
But he, he went back, ran the plate and everything. He's like, you here for the show? I was like, yeah, we're on our way to the show that morning. And, like we'd already had breakfast and was on our way there. And, he comes back and he goes, yeah, he said, I'm going to let you go. He said, question though. He's like, what lift is on this truck? And what are those amp power steps? He's like, I've got a Tundra at home. And we realized that's the only reason he stopped us, because he wanted to see what was done to it.
Well, what's cool is like when we originally did the show, the fairgrounds, they had these 2 sheriffs they were the first ones you called over the fairgrounds. And nice enough guys, I guess, but they really never got off the golf cart to do shit. They just, when you needed them, they were paraded. It's like, do you both have to be on one golf cart, or can we split up?
Yeah.
Right. For y'all to cover multiple spots. So, we would talk to our buddy Roscoe about it. We're like, these guys kind of bump on a log and don't want to talk bad about them, but they didn't really give a shit. And one guy had like a vest on with like shotgun shells in it. I'm like, dude, calm down. This is not, I don't need riot police. So as it went on, we asked Roscoe to help us, and he ended up going to those guys and go, look, I know these guys are friends of mine. I don't want to step on your toes, but so it ended up where he would take the security part over, but would hire those guys in.
Yeah.
So as we started bringing in these new sheriffs as the event grew, all of those guys are car guys. Like they may not be like have a project in the garage, but what they're driving's got to lift tires.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you see an officer on his four wheeler. He's off talking to a wheel vendor, and he's like, "Well, I've got the, So they're all a lot of them are car guys for the most part. So you'd be surprised about that. And I'm sure there's some that are sticklers that could give two shits.
Yeah.
But the group of guys that he's brought us, I think he knew who to pick to bring into that event because they would have a good attitude about it. They would love seeing all the cars and be a good fit. And man, all those guys are awesome. They're so good.
That's what I did when I did my scrape in the Smokies. I had a couple buddies in the sheriff's department that were car guys, like old Mustangs or whatever, but still car guys. Yeah. And I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to bring you, and I need like however many more. You pick your friends that are going to want to come. And it was the same thing. They would, because they kind of knew what they were doing, they knew what to expect at a car show. They knew what the crowd was going to do. It wasn't just like everybody on edge the whole time.
Well, and that's what he was telling him. He's like, look, give them enough rope to hang them. Let them have fun. If you see something that's a little bit, just let it go. And, they've looked over a lot of shit, but whenever it comes to safety and all that stuff, we're like, don't jack around with it. Call them out on it. And if they choose to do the right thing the second time, maybe call them out the first time. They do it again, get them out. But burnouts, that's like that's a no deal. You gotta go.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you get your morning started here, and glad we got to link up and kind of go over. I was sitting there going through my head. I'm like, there's something else big that I need to talk about. When you said LST, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was. Almost forgot about it. Product placement.
Product placement.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man, and look forward to seeing you at the next show.
This might be your lowest rated one, but we'll see how it does.
I don't know. Probably my wife's might have been in that one. So
I'll probably beat her.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.